Hi guys, welcome back to Rybrook TV and welcome to a kind of behind the scenes of what it's been like to live with that. I've had the McLaren Artura for a few days now, and well, the last time I had a McLaren it was a 720S. It was parked there, but it was the middle of summer, it was 30 odd degrees. So what's it been like then to live with that car in November in the UK when the weather's been pretty terrible? So I'm going to take you on a little walk and talk of that, run you through some of my experiences over the last few days, go for a drive, tell you what it's like. That's about it really. Super quick, super simple. Hopefully you've seen my full video with the Artura. If you haven't, I'll put the link in the top of the screen. So let's get cracking. So here we are then, the Artura. It's been a while coming, hasn't it, this one? And well, what do you think of the looks? I personally think it looks absolutely fabulous. It's got this sort of cut-in lights here, almost from the 720. It's almost a blend of 720 and 570, I think. I've got to be honest, I don't actually know what this colour is called. I can't remember, but it's very, very green, and it looks amazing, especially this time of year against the horrible grey UK. So we've got some little air breathers here, and then a huge big air intake there, obviously feeding air into the 3-litre V6. Now that's the big difference with the Artura. Obviously every McLaren that's come before, bar obviously the McLaren F1, has been a twin turbocharged V8. This is different. This is a 3-litre twin turbocharged V6 with a hybrid system. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really sure what to think of the V6 when they first said they were going to do it, but actually it's got a lot of character, which we'll cover a little bit later once we get out for a drive. The rear end is actually quite different, fair play. The front looks very familiar, the back looks quite different. So you've got new design of rear lights here, they're very slimline. Still got high mounted exhaust, McLaren Artura here. You can still see down the back with the diffuser, you can see straight through to the gearbox. Now what's different is the back here. You've got all this mesh which is all completely open. You can see the V6 just in there. We've also got the heat chimney here. I don't know whether you can see any heat coming from it, but it's basically just to get rid of some of the excess heat that this engine produces, and it produces a lot of heat. But all in all, I mean, what do you think of the look of it? It's actually very, very small as well. I don't know whether you can tell, obviously with this car parking space. It's quite a small space, but there's plenty of space either side of the car. But yeah, I mean, it's been a joy to manoeuvre about. It's really easy. I'll show you a bit more when we go inside, but let me just show you the boot space. So got the key here. Double tap the middle one to open the frunk or fruit or whatever, wherever you are. So this is actually highly impressive. This is pretty much your only luggage space, but I've got all my camera gear in here. So huge bag here. Another bag down there, gimbal, tripod, cleaning stuff, some lights down here for when we did some light painting last night. And then down here, let's just get in here, you've got the charging cable, which is here, which obviously this car, being a hybrid, you can plug it in and, well, charge the batteries, but you don't have to. The car will charge them as you go along. Let's have a look inside for you. So of course, it has got the signature dihedral doors. Of course it does. Let's jump inside and show you the interior real quick. Now this is something I have noticed. Compared to other McLarens that I've driven, getting in and out isn't quite as easy. It just feels like the aperture of the door is a little bit smaller, but once you're in, it is great. Let's shut that down. Beautiful Bowers and Wilkins sound system here. And then some really nice ambient light that goes all the way around. So, interior of the Artura is very familiar, but also quite updated. Steering wheel, beautiful Alcantara with carbon fibre inserts here. The shift paddles are carbon too. We've got a new centre display here, which I'll show you in a sec when I start the car up. The iris system down here has now changed. We've now got Apple CarPlay integrated into this through a wire, which I've got here. This down here, so the drive is pretty much exactly the same, start button exactly the same. This is all nice leather up here, which is really nice. Just feels like a much more quality place to be. And then the seats, they are actually incredibly supportive. I've left everything here, cameras here, a bottle of water obviously to clean the car. But then this Alcantara and sort of leather mix with this really nice pinstripe to match the colour on the outside. It's been a wonderful place to sit and drive. Visibility, can you see that? I'm going to put the camera exactly where my face is. The visibility out is actually really, really impressive, and then the visibility out through the back, you see the GoPro, there you go. But you can see really well across that rear deck. It's super easy. Let's just start this up so you can see the new display. Starts up in pure electric, which is quite bizarre actually. And it changes depending on what mode you're in. So if I use one of the pods up here, so this is where your drive control is. So on the right hand side is the powertrain, on the left hand side is the handling. I've not really touched that one, to be honest, but you've got the powertrain here, so let's switch it up. So you go into comfort, sport, there you go, turns the engine on, and then you've got track at the very top, which changes it again. To be honest, I've been driving the car as much as I possibly can in electric, because it's actually really nice to drive in electric, which we'll go for a drive, shall we? And I'll talk to you a little bit about what the Artura is like to drive on the road and what it's been like to drive it every single day this week. So what's it been like then to drive the Artura and live with it every single day? Well, let's start by saying I imagine not many Artura owners will drive their cars this time of year, firstly, and anywhere near as many mileage as I've done in the small period of time I've had this. So I think I've done around 800 miles in about 3 days, going to different locations, etc. And well, as I say, I'm pretty sure Artura owners won't be putting that many miles on their car in such a small space of time. But you never know, they might do. But what's it been like? Obviously, if you're watching this, you've probably heard of all the bad things, the bad press that this car's got about quality and about reliability, etc, etc. But I'm here to say right now, this car has not put a foot wrong in the time I've had it. It's been faultless, it's been perfect. As I say, a lot of what I've been doing is up and down motorways. It's a lot of driving for a car like this, and it's the sort of driving that it probably doesn't really enjoy. But it's been faultless. So I'll start with that. Absolutely no issues whatsoever with this car and the whole time I've had it. Let's move on to the actual drive. McLaren just somehow make their cars so incredibly usable on a daily basis. You can hear now probably that the engine's going. That's because I've got the car in sport, because I want to charge the batteries. As I said earlier, you can charge it either on a charger, which takes around 2 hours to do, or you just stick the car in sport and it charges itself, and it charges itself actually really quickly. Now it does it by using the engine. It doesn't use any regen brakes or anything like that, because McLaren didn't want it to interfere with the brake feel, which I really appreciate. Thank you, McLaren, because the brake feel in McLaren's, I always love it. But if I wanted to, if I go up here to the toggle, I can just drop it out and bang it into electric, and now we're running a supercar in all electric. I love that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. You can just drop it into electric, and I'll tell you how that is so useful. So I had to leave my house yesterday morning at around 5:30 in the morning, and I don't think my neighbours would have taken too kindly to me starting this car up, because even though this is a V6, it still sounds incredible and also very loud. So my neighbours, I don't think, will have appreciated that. But you can just drive around, poodle around towns and villages in fully electric mode and be nearly inconspicuous. But I mean, it's quite a bright car. If this car was in black and you were driving around in electric, no one would really have a look until you turn the engine on and until they saw it, but that's a different matter. The suspension on normal roads as well is so compliant. It's wonderful. As I say, loads and loads of mileage over so many different kinds of roads, and this has absolutely handled everything I've thrown at it with incredible ease. That's the thing with McLaren that always gets me, no matter which one it is. I've driven a lot of McLarens now. Every single one is just so incredibly capable every single day. It's amazing that you can actually daily a car like this, and you genuinely can with the Artura. You can genuinely drive this every single day. The roads where I live are pretty bad. They're quite potholey, they're quite broken. This road now is quite broken up, it's not a nice surface. And the car isn't crashing around, you've not got big bangs from the suspension, etc. It's just really civilized and really easy to use. And the road noise as well, for a car of this type, is really good. It's really refined in here, the sound system's great. You genuinely can just cruise in this. As I say, I've done a lot of miles in not a big period of time. But let's stop in electric now, let's go into sport, get that engine going again. And let's talk about this. What's the V6 like? Well, I think it's got slightly more character than the V8. Oof, I think it sounds better than the V8, pretty sure of that. And I love it. It feels like a much bigger engine than it actually is. It feels like it should be a V8, maybe even bigger, but the way that it revs, the way that it delivers its power is fantastic. And the thing is, living with this car, it's not been dry at all in the time I've had it. The roads have not dried up. So I've had to drive this completely in cold weather, in wet weather, and the way it delivers its power is so precise and so just trustworthy. You're always going to get the power. Yeah, the traction control does drop in if you're being a bit of an idiot with it, but other than that, it's just super easy to drive quickly as well. But for me, with every McLaren that I drive, the highlight, it's the steering. The steering in McLarens, if you ever experienced it, you'll know what I'm talking about, but they have a beautiful fluidity to them and just a perfect blend of weight, pace and feel that is just better than any other car. They just are. The steering feel in McLarens is just worlds apart from anything else. It's truly wonderful, the steering in this car. And let's touch on the interior and what's changed, because obviously I ran through it, but what's it like to live? What's the ergonomics like? It's actually super easy to find everything. You basically just jump in, plug your phone in and use Apple CarPlay. You don't really use much of the other controls. You just stick the lights in auto, the wipers in auto, and you literally just do everything that you want to do. It's super easy, incredibly easy. That's the word that I'll use constantly here. It's just easy. So the fact that I've been able to daily this car over the last few days is just phenomenal. And yes, it's been a long time coming. We've waited a long time to drive this car. I've waited a long time to get behind the wheel, but now that I have, has it let me down or has it exceeded? I think it's exceeded. I knew that the car was going to be good, of course, but you know what we've read. You've read all these things about the car being not ready and all that stuff, but it doesn't matter. This car is fantastic. It really is worth the wait. It's lived up to the hype, it's exceeded the hype. I think it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and I've enjoyed every single second in this car. Now, if you want to see my full review of this car, please use the link in the top of the screen to go and check that one out. Quite happy with that one. Thank you guys ever so much for watching, and please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you want any information on the Artura, and please use the link in the description to contact Rybrook McLaren Birmingham. The team would be happy to help. And well, I'm going to go and enjoy my last few hours before it goes dark, because, well, if you live in the UK, you know it gets dark at about 3 o'clock, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, thank you guys ever so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's nothing too fancy, no big cameras, no nothing. Me, a GoPro, and the car. That's it. I'll see you guys again very soon.